All right, guys, welcome to PTOD. This morning we are going to talk about, oh, I see we have some new faces. If you're new to the PTOD, either here on YouTube or here on the Instagram, where I do my live feed every morning, this is the time of day we come together. We get to talk about a topic that I've been inspired by, and then we get to share everything good about it, bad about it, give each other advice, and lift each other up. Today we're talking about scapegoating. Oh, scapegoating. I was the scapegoat for a lot of years, and I can tell you it is an ugly place to be in. Constantly nervous, always feel like you're failing somebody. It's never a good thing. Did you grow up with low self-esteem? Did you grow up in a family where you were constantly the butt of the joke or the blame for what was going on? These are real things. Do you find yourself having reoccurrences of disrespect with your coworkers? I mean, this scapegoating idea starts in families and often works its way into our natural everyday life. Whether we leave that family or not, we still have those tendencies. My objection today is to talk to you guys about what scapegoating is, make you aware, and give you the power if you feel like you may be a scapegoat, the middle forgotten child. You guys are cracking me up. And how you can help those if you see someone in your family that is a scapegoat and you want to help them get out of that turmoil, okay? Are you drawn to people who repeatedly hurt you? Are you a person who constantly feels like people are disrespecting you? If you said yes to any of that, you might be a scapegoat. You can tell if you've been scapegoated in families pretty easily. I feel like I didn't really realize what was going on until I was well into my late teens. And by then the damage was already done, so having to rebuild myself and kill off the scapegoat tendencies was super hard, and that's where a lot of my personal growth in my 20s came from. You can be held responsible for family problems, conflicts, and challenges, even if they have nothing to do with you. That's a sign of being scapegoated. Other people blame you for their actions. You may end up feeling a lot of shame, or like you're the bad guy in the family or the black sheep. You get attacked or disbelieved. Even if you tell the truth, maybe they are labeling you the whistleblower, you're the proponent behind this negative action. That can be scapegoating. There has been a history of one or more family members who are verbally and emotionally abusive, physically abusive. Those are things that go hand in hand with scapegoating. It's an aggressive form of bullying. It is bullying within families and within relationships. If you find yourself and your family being accused of behavior that you didn't engage in, or being told that you have behavior that is negative, that can be scapegoating in its essence. You are if you are, and this one is something I wrote down in my notes when I was reading last night, if you're the mentally healthiest person in your family, you feel like you're the one who actually has it together, but you're repeatedly being accused of being the one who doesn't have it together. Now let's look at this specific situation. So if you have a family member that suffers from maybe bipolar disorder, manic depressant, whatever version of it, we're gonna do blanket terms here today, guys. And they're the one having extreme up and down behaviors, but they're accusing you of having the extreme behaviors. That's classic scapegoating. You realize in your head that you're mentally and physically healthy, but this individual who has already existing issues is forgoing their ego and blaming you. You could also be scapegoating if in your life your achievements are belittled, minimalized, criticized, or rejected. What's going on in the family who has a scapegoat? Maybe more than one. Hey guys. Heal and Wander is the one who led me to this topic today. I want to thank her. Namaste, sister. I love you. Families that shame on fear-based evidence is not healthy. Often in these families, guys, there is, you find evidence of abuse, neglect, addiction, betrayal, mental illness. It all kind of runs thick in families that have scapegoats, because scapegoats are the mechanism to deal with all of the narcissistic tendencies, personality disorders that are going on in the family. Dysfunctional families either lack the insight to find these behaviors threatening, or they actively repress the feelings behind the scapegoating. They know they're doing something wrong, but it's a solution for them. Good morning, guys. And so they go with it. Many families who resort to scapegoating are headed by narcissistic parents. It's true. Who lack the personal awareness and the empathy to target the real issue. And in their eyes, the scapegoat is the real issue, and their false image of what makes them look good is what they go by. The purpose of the scapegoating with these egotistical parents usually, and we're talking specifically to the parental unit right now, is that they have these patterns of behaviors to maintain the myth, to maintain the scapegoat. Yeah, I can maintain scapegoat. Scapegoat is somebody in a family who takes the blame for everything. They're the individual who's blamed for all the family issues. They're often, like Marie Antoinette, when she came to marry the prince, the country was already falling apart. But because they found her extravagant and over the top, they used her to blame every other problem that was going on with the country. Even though she was just a young kid, about to become queen, she had nothing to do with it. She was used as a vessel of blame. Does that make sense? That analogy? I hope it did with lock stocks. So even though she was not responsible for any of the things going on in the country, she was a vessel to be blamed. And so all of a sudden it was all her fault. If you guys are just tuning in for the PTOD today, we are talking about scapegoating. It's a thick subject. We're just getting into the behaviors behind families who scapegoat. Thank you, guys. The purpose of scapegoating is to allow families to carry on these unhealthy behaviors. It allows them to make the abuse normal, to make the emotional doubting normal, to make the scapegoat an institution in the household. The outside preserver, and possibly even the scapegoat themselves, know that their family is delusional and off their rocker. Oh my God, we have a hater in the feed. You guys, I get to sing the hater song. YouTube, it's your first time. Sit tight. Hater in the feed, hater in the feed. We know what you need. We gonna send you some hearts to get your day on the right start. Hater in the feed. Because even here, we love you, haters. We know you need it most. Okay, back to the topic. Who gets picked to be a scapegoat? Okay, line them up, babies. The scapegoat doesn't get picked randomly or by accident, guys. It is always intentional. Usually they are the most sensitive individual in the family. Unhappy. I was that kid. Naturally, I became a scapegoat because I was very in touch with my emotions, very in touch with being realistic, often overly sensitive to people because I constantly wanted to please. So in an unintentional manner, and not blaming myself or any of you out there who are scapegoats, I was set up for the perfect scapegoat path. I wanted a reason to do a scapegoat noise this morning. Sorry, guys. I was a little impulsive. Okay, I'm done now. Okay, these usually can be super unbearable atmospheres, guys, for the scapegoat, okay? Miss Tess says, do you think there is a way to have a constructive conversation with the person who is scapegoating you to shift the behavior, especially with someone who is mentally ill or may not realize? I absolutely believe so, Miss Tess. Let's address that. Family therapy is a great way to deal with scapegoating behaviors, but everyone has to be willing to put in the work. Family therapy is not for everyone. Not every family can be fixed. And I often tell my friends and those around me that friends are the family you choose, and that's the way I choose my life. I came from a dysfunctional family, and I chose not to be part of it anymore. But for those who feel there is still love and there's still mutual respect on some manner and they want to work through it, family counseling is a great way to get through that. And I'm sure wherever you're at, you have some great local family counselors. If not, online resources are thick and available to you for sure. Good morning, guys. So how does scapegoating affect the person who's being scapegoated? It gives them a lack of self-worth. It often steals motivation from them. Their achievements get belittled. Their existence is made to feel like they're not important. Scapegoats tend to struggle with chronic insecurity, almost always questioning themselves. They can also fall into the victim role and unconsciously repeat the scapegoating or gravitating towards those who like to use them as a scapegoat, looking for that reciprocation. It's not a purposeful act, but I can tell you well into my 20s, 21, 22, I was feeding into the scapegoating tendencies. How you can break the scapegoating. Okay guys, this one's for you. Get out your pens and your paper. Time to write. All right, how are we gonna break this? Well, first off, you gotta realize if you're a scapegoat, okay? Be real with yourself. Homework for today, guys. Get your pen and paper out. If you have those around you who blame you for their life situations, you're a scapegoat. If you live in a family situation where you feel like you're the only sane one and everyone else is crazy and fighting each other 24/7, but they view you as the problem, you are a scapegoat. If you at any way, shape, or form question your worthiness because of family members or friendships, you're probably a scapegoat. All right, we got that figured out. So now you are or you aren't. How do we work on it? And this goes out to those reaching out to people who they might feel are scapegoats as well, guys. If you're a good friend, if you're a cleaner, your constructive friendship, you can reach out and say, hey, I think you're being the scapegoat, dude. You have all these behaviors, these great things you're doing in your life, but I see everyone blaming you and how it tears you down, and I want you to stop doing that because you're worth so much more than everyone else's blame. Don't be afraid to approach a friend if you think they're the scapegoat. You may be doing them the biggest favor. Honesty can be really rough and hard and not easy to listen to, but ultimately is gonna get that person into a zone where they're able to heal. Or at least you're giving them that opportunity and you're extending the hand. Thank you, I love my kids too. So first, if you wanna stop being a scapegoat, you gotta understand what you have come to believe about yourself. Now, what does that mean? That means, do you think that you are overly sensitive? Have you been blamed for being emotionally over the top? Do you get told that you are too much into the arts and not scholarly enough? You have to think of these devices and these inadequacies that have been laid into you, ingrained to you, and write them down, guys. So if you come to yourself today and you feel like you're a scapegoat, make a list of the negative things that you believe and you self-perpetuate in yourself. List them. I'll tell you here on Instagram and I tell you here on YouTube, lists are real. Nikki loves lists. Okay? What are these inadequate, weird, defensive feelings that you have that others have laid into you? You need to list them down, okay? And even if this isn't a workplace, how are people using you as a scapegoat? Do they not believe your PowerPoints are strong enough? Do you work in a garage and they never like the way that you detail cars and they're always blaming you for one thing or another? These behaviors can run through any part of our life, guys. And specifically speaking to the scapegoating behaviors, the inadequacies. In facts, it's likely to, these lies were created and given to you so that you would subdue to them and be the scapegoat. So you need to be self-aware. Next, you need to locate that inner peep, that inner voice, that soul within the soul sack, the wise part of you. You guys, the emotional coordinator we've talked about before, and have a good long conversation about how you've been mistreated. So you've been led to believe that you're overly emotional. You could resonate with yourself, meditate, whatever you think is appropriate, and make a list of reasons why it's good. I'm viewed as over emotional. I feel that's good because I'm always so in tune with others' feelings. I often make helpful movements emotionally and physically without people having to tell me. I'm viewed as over emotional, but it's good because I'm constantly kind and humane towards others. There we go. Shuts off about 20 minutes in. Recognizing your feelings of shame, guys. That's number 3. Give it light. You feel shameful about these behaviors for a reason, right? So if you give it light and you allow yourself to make a list, better advice, giving, not taking. I hear that. I hear that. You need to find yourself a cleaner. You guys, I mentioned cleaners yesterday. They're the individual who is your down for you, can listen to everything you have to say, and is going to be there to support you no matter what you say and do. Okay? We have lots of cleaners in the feed today. You can also DM me. I'm always open. You need to dump the bad feelings in relation to these behaviors that you've been told you have. To change this, you need to start standing up from the notion that you have worthiness. Oh, how it all ties back to the worthiness factor. When a scapegoat steps into their worthiness, because I have this side note on my computer, it makes the people who are using that scapegoat very angry, okay? Because you're honestly stepping forward and saying, nope, excuse me, I'm fabulous, and I will no longer be a proponent of your hate. Step aside. That's going to be the hardest part of getting out of this scapegoat, guys, is talking to those who have made you believe that their abuses and their misunderstandings, their physical, emotional, economical, whatever it is, abuse, has been for the good. They will try and make you believe that. And it's going to have to come with some internal realizations that you are being used as a proponent of sadness and of chronic abuse for you to break that cycle. There is a term called inherited ignorance, and it talks specifically about inheriting the behaviors through your family, things that are passed down generation to generation, and I can tell you that scapegoating is one of those inherited ignorant items. I broke the chain with myself. I was the scapegoat, but I refused to carry that abuse on. That is a really hard thing to do. That being said, I still have scapegoat tendencies. I'm still shy to call someone out when I think they're belittling me or they're using their ego to abuse me. But I do it. I just have to catch myself in those feelings. I think it's a lifelong journey. Figuring out your self-identity. That's going to be another way to get out of your scapegoat. Who are you? What do you love? What are your passions? Who are the people around you that build you up and don't push you down? Those are things that need to become a focus in your life. Stop trying to get the favor of the abuse of uncaring family members or uncaring workers around you or friends. This is hard, right? Because as a ex-people pleaser, ex-scapegoat, I can tell you that I love the approval of others. I love a good attaboy. I love a good, hey, you've done a great job. Rah, rah, sis, boom, bah. But getting those from your abusers and getting those from people who don't respect you and who are using you as a scapegoat is detrimental to your existence. So having to find ways to self-praise and find ways to propel yourself without the approval of others is going to be a massive factor in stopping the scapegoating. Because when those individuals who are scapegoating you give you praise, it lights your brain up with dopamine and serotonin and all these good little feeling drugs. And you're like, oh my gosh, they do love me for like 30 seconds and then I'm the scapegoat again. It's a circle. It's a cycle. One that you have to stop. Let's see. Swinner says, I was the scapegoat for my family growing up because I've never been able to stay quiet. When I see bull honky, I'm always told to stop making trouble. That's why I couldn't get along. It's so true. Yep, scapegoating from friends is a true thing. It's true. Yep. Oh, sending you love. all my tears in the feed. I love you guys. I was a friend's mom's scapegoat. Her daughter never did anything wrong. It always was me. She still side-eyes me after 20 years later. When she side-eyes you, you're like, hey! What's up? You staring at my awesome? I'm just kidding. That would be me though in public. You guys are so sweet. What is the next step? Number 5 in getting out of your scapegoat. Start asserting yourself. You deserve to be treated respectfully by your family and by others. The way you just spoke to me is unhealthy and I don't appreciate it. These are phrases, guys, I'm gonna give you that you can use. If you have a relationship with me and you will not stop being verbally abusive, it's gonna end. Another phrase you could use. Name calling or accusing me of your problems is no longer my issue. Another phrase you could use, okay? Know that you may or may not be heard by these individuals. Listen, you're talking about individuals who are using you to emotionally cope with their life. They're not healthy. They don't even know their own worthiness, let alone are they going to probably more than half the time pay attention to your worthiness. If you feel that cutting these individuals completely out of your life is how you stop the scapegoating, do it. That's number 6. Accept that you may never have a healthy relationship with these people. Okay? I think a lot of us, and I talked about this yesterday, have the feeling that families, because we're blood related, because we have this history, that everyone gets a free pass. Not true. Sorry. Just because you're related to me doesn't mean you get to verbally abuse me. Just because you're related to me doesn't get to mean that you get to say things behind my back or to my face that make me feel belittled. Doesn't mean that you get to use me to build your ego up. In my circumstances, cutting the people out of my life was the best thing I ever did. May not work for you, but I think you need to be open to the option that even though you're choosing to improve your mental health, you're choosing to improve your physical being, your worthiness, the person who's using you as a scapegoat may never choose to do that. And that will cause a natural separation in your relationship. You have to be willing to give up individuals that are abusing you to have growth. And that's super hard. Ingrained relationships. We've talked about this, guys. My next one is probably my favorite. Get in the habit of treating yourself kindly. Caring, compassion, appreciation, and acceptance. Get in the habit of telling yourself you're thankful for who you are. You know, yesterday when my doctor told me that I had ugly red blood cells, and we always joke, and she kind of, she knows that about me. I got in the car and I kind of whispered to myself, I'm like, it's all right, body. We're gonna do this. You know, there was an acceptance. I chose to be kind towards myself. I'm not functioning 100% on all levels by any means because of my chronic illness, but I'm gonna choose to love myself and accept myself for the way I am because I can't change that. Old Nikki, who was a scapegoat, would have wanted to hide that. Oh, I'm sick again, you know. I'm the reason everybody's afraid to ask me to do things. That's why they don't ask me to go out and go to parties or ask me to play dates, is because I'm sick and they assume that, you know, I'm just gonna bring the whole thing down. No, I don't feed into those behaviors anymore. I treat myself with kindness. And even though you may be unfamiliar with treating yourself with kindness, it doesn't mean that you don't deserve it. Feeling worth and lovability, and feeling like you serve a kind purpose in your own life and in others' lives can be super healing. It's magical. It's magic! Magic, YouTube. Magic. And I think that there's an easy way to do this. For me, it was writing hearts on my mirror every time I walked past it. And I reminded myself to step with kindness and to be loved. And I was worthy of all the happy things I wanted in life. Maybe for you it is a daily calendar reminder. Or you could recruit a friend to say, hey, could you text me one thing you love about me every day? I don't even care if it's the same thing, but could you text me once a day and give me a little boost? And slowly but surely as you eat and ingest, mentally ingest these comments and this love, you'll start to change. And pretty soon you won't need a daily reminder that you have self-worth because you will have stepped into it already. If you guys are just tuning in for the PTOD, we have 5 minutes left and we're rounding out our topic about scapegoating. Practice what you preach. That's my last little bit to you guys. It is not easy to break the cycle of abuse. It's not fun, but if you see someone else being abused, reach out. Me being here on the PTOD is the way that I rectify to myself that I can touch lives and hopefully light the fire of kindness and communication and love in someone who doesn't feel that way, who doesn't feel loved, who is being maybe physically or mentally abused, and give them the strength to move forward. This is me preaching and practicing what I preach. If you are being scapegoated and you realize it, make the list of behaviors that you believe are bad and then turn them into a good. Allow yourself to have space to grow. Get a daily reminder of what your worth is and heal moment by moment, day by day. It's not an easy process. I have been actively healing myself from scapegoating for 7 years and I still have bad days. That doesn't mean all my days are bad. It just means that I can choose to turn it around. The sun rises again the next day and my happiness is not quantifiable by someone else's approval. Your happiness is not quantifiable by someone else's approval. It's by your own self-worth and how you choose to feel love, light, and happiness every single day. For you guys today, what do I wish? I wish that if you woke up grumpy and unmotivated and unmagical, that you stop that right now and decide to turn your day around. I wish that if you did wake up feeling magical and full of love and kindness, that you text a friend, that you call a loved one and you build them up and you pass that magic on. Okay guys, scapegoating is a technique in our society that is used to mentally quench our own problems. And it's never gonna stop unless we can spread our own love and our own worth and happiness onto others. That's all I got. I love you guys. Gonna log out 3 minutes early today and go hug my babies because they're pretty fabulous. All right. Now, if you have any questions, you can message me here or you can contact me via email. Also, I will have this up on YouTube, hopefully later today, probably more this evening time frame. I've got a busy day today, full of lots of doctor's appointments. So, with that, I love you guys. And what do I always say? If you can't love yourself, you sure as shit can't love nobody else. Bye, babies.